here with Half Dozen Customs. Today is MonteMonday, but we're not working on the Monte today. It's actually our 3-year anniversary to the day that we started YouTube. So, happy anniversary to Half Dozen Customs. We started 3 years ago today with a crappy little camcorder and a MonteCarlo video. And that's what started it all. We've upgraded a little bit. We got GoPros now instead of a little camcorder. So videos are a little better, sounds a little better. But we started the channel on our first video was 2/9 of 23. We actually moved here in this shop and started our first car, which was an Olds 88, which did not get any videos. I hadn't thought about making YouTube videos till after that. But that started on 7/21 of 21. And we decided to start doing YouTube videos after that. So since today is our 3-year anniversary, we're gonna do a pinstripe video today. So I hope you stick around and watch that video. But we're gonna give away a pinstriping panel. So I got a couple behind me that I did a couple weeks ago. These are just freehand off the top of my head. And then we're going to do one today. And I'm going to kind of explain how I got started doing this pinstriping stuff, and maybe give you guys some ideas for yourself if you're looking to get started with this. Our first MonteCarlo video that we did was published on the 16th of 23. So if you guys are watching this video now, it's our first recording. When we're actually gonna announce the names, or the name of who won the pinstripe panel, will be on the following Monday. So how we're going to do this is you need to be subscribed to our channel. You need to like this video, and you need to comment Half Dozen Customs. As long as you're subscribed, you've liked the video, and you comment Half Dozen Customs, we're gonna put all the comments through. They have a thing for YouTube that kind of scrolls through everything, and it picks a name. So it's not us that's picking it. It's actually a program that YouTube has that'll pick it. It's just a random winner. So please like, subscribe, and comment on this. And then next Monday we will announce who won. And if you're the winner, we'll contact you through email. You can pick which one you want, and we will send that out to you with a couple of stickers as well. So I'll show you guys the stickers at the end of the video after we're done making this panel. And yeah, so thanks for joining us. This is exciting. This is our first giveaway, so hopefully you guys enjoy the video. One of you will get to enjoy a couple of stickers and a pinstripe panel. So for our 3-year anniversary, thank you to everybody who has subscribed and liked and commented on our videos. We appreciate you. And let's get to this video. So I'm gonna kind of explain some of the things that you might need to get started. If you want to learn how to pinstripe, this is the video for you. Let me say, first of all, I am not a pro at this whatsoever. I've been doing this for a long time. When I very first started doing this, it was back in my partying days. I liked to party when I was younger. I don't hide that. But it was much better in those days. When I finally got sober, I had to learn how to do this stuff all over again. Part of me learning was changing up my brushes. So the normal pinstriping brush that you get, they look like this. They're called a sword brush. These are by Mac. These are all different sizes. There's 00, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are all different size of brushes. If you want to learn how to pinstripe, this is the first thing that you're going to get is these. So anytime you see anybody pinstriping, this is what they're using. Now I have changed up my brushes a little bit since I got sober, because ever since I got sober, I shake real bad. It's just something that I have that I can't seem to get rid of. When I partied, I didn't shake, so a lot of my stuff was a lot smoother. I had better control and flow, and stuff like that. So since I've gotten sober, I have switched up to styles of brushes like these. So there's all different kinds, different sizes of brushes in here. I have two different kind of brands in here. I told you that these guys are made by Mac. So the blue ones that are in here, these are Mac also. And these are pinstriping and lettering brushes. They're just a different style. These are actually called the Virus. So if you're interested in these, all these brushes can be purchased on Amazon nowadays. So you can get these off of Amazon, same with these. The tan brushes, which are very similar to the Mac Viruses, those are by Jenny O or Jenny Q, might be Jenny Q, and they're called liner brushes. So I mainly use these nowadays, and then I also use these a lot nowadays. So, and what these are by Bobo. They're made by Mac, but they're the Bobo series brush. And there's 00, 1, and 2 that I have in here. And these are scroll brushes. These are for a different style of pinstriping called scroll. So I have a bunch of different brushes in here too, but those are the main ones that I use when I do pinstriping. These were done with the scroll brushes. Today's that we're going to do today are going to be done with the Virus by Mac. So last ones that I showed you, I told you that those are the Bobo series of brush, and we actually have a book here as we're losing stuff, and this is Bobo's little book of pinstripe designs. Now you can't get this on Amazon, but you can get it off of the internet. So if you just go to Google and you search Bobo's little book of pinstripe designs, you can pick up this book. And what this book is, there's a whole bunch of words in the beginning. I'm not going to read them to you, but if you want to pick up this book, you can read it. But Bobo was a pinstriper back in the 50s, and he created this book of a lot of his designs. So you can go through and you can pick different designs out of here, and you can use them. Now, I would suggest if you're new to this is a good thing to pick up. And you can do one of two things. You can get a piece of glass and you can lay a piece of glass over this, and then you can follow along with the book on top of the glass and practice. And you just practice every day until you get good at it. So, you know, that's one way that you can do it. Or you can do it how we're going to do it today. Some stuff I just freehand, and then some stuff I will choose out of this book. Or you can, you know, nowadays with Google and everything, you can find stuff online. And what you can do is you can just print them out. So I just printed this straight out of the book. I put the book in my copier machine and I printed this out. And then you can pick these tools up. You can get these on Amazon as well. And what this is it's a perforated tool. And what I like to do is use a piece of drywall because it's soft. You can use plywood. I don't really like using plywood because it's grainy, and you know, some of the wood is harder than others, so you're not going to get a consistent line when you're running over this. So that's why I prefer to use drywall. But you could put this on a 2x4, you could put it on plywood. The softer the wood, the better. And then you use this guy. They have several different sizes of this. So they have little tiny ones, they have bigger ones, they have smaller ones. They have actually electronic ones out there that you can get. Those are really expensive though. But then what you're going to do is you're gonna put this down on your piece of plywood or drywall. I really like drywall. I suggest you use that. And you're gonna run over this, pushing kind of hard enough to poke holes in it, and you're gonna follow around each one of your pinstripe lines, putting holes in it. And then once you get some holes in it, I've already got one done here. I've picked this one. This is the one that we're gonna do today. Once you get the holes in it, I can't really show you guys very well on camera of the holes going through, but you can kind of see that it's perforated on the back. So then what you're going to do with this, so I put a couple little marks at top and bottom for center, and you're going to try and line up, like, you know, your little point down here and your little point up at the top, and you're gonna kind of try and line those up so that this is centered on here. I would suggest putting a piece of tape at the top and then holding the bottom. You want to make sure that when you're rubbing over this, that it doesn't wrinkle up that paper. You want to make sure that you can keep it nice and flat. I suggest going just one direction with it. But you use this next, and this is actually a quilt pounce by Hansi. You can get this on Amazon as well. And what this is it has chalking powder in it, and you rub it over your perforated paper, and then when you take your piece of paper off, it leaves you with a bunch of little dots of your design. Once you got your little dots, you take one of these little pencils. This is a charcoal pencil by General S. There's a bunch of different companies out there. Then you go along and you follow your dots and you draw out your lines. This doesn't leave like perfect clear lines, but it's enough for you to follow. And you can pinstripe over this stuff and it doesn't cause any issues. I've been doing it for years. The pinstriper that taught me, he's an old timer named Jive out of Illinois. You know, he taught me how to do that, and he's been doing it like that for forever. Once you get good enough at starting to practice this stuff, and maybe you can see it in your head, you can just draw them out with this pencil, and then, you know, follow along your pencil line. That way, if you draw it out with the pencil first, then when you're going to pinstripe, you already have your design. If you're pinstriping and you don't like what you're doing, it's a little more difficult to clean it all off and start again. So you draw it out with the pencil first, and you like your design, then you can continue on with your pinstriping. It's easier to wipe off the pencil than it is your pinstripe paint. So I was gonna go somewhere next, and I forgot. That happens. Oh yes, now I remember what I wanted to tell you first, or next. So the next thing that I would do, if, let's see, do I have any in here that I can show you? So as you can see, I've done this one before, and I don't know if you guys can pick it up on camera. This is an old one, so it's kind of faded, but you can see that I followed one line with an orange marker and then one line with a yellow marker, and that gives you, because a lot of these designs are two different colors. Some of them in this book, where they get really crazy, you can do multiple colors with it. So it is better to go through with a colored pencil and just start on the one, colored pencil, colored marker, and start on the one and follow it around, and get one of your colors done in another color on this piece of paper, so that you know when you're working on this panel which one is going to be which color. So if today we're going to do red and white, so you'll be able to say, okay, I want this lower point in red and the rest of it in white. So once you follow this around, you know which lines in here are going to be red and which ones are going to be white. So I highly suggest doing that on here, so that you can have this next to your work while you're working and know which lines are going to be which color. It's easy to get confused when you're just looking at a solid black line. So let me clean up this area real quick, and get some paint open. I'll explain what paint I use, and we'll get to this. So again, Bobo's little book of pinstripe designs. This is the only one that you can't find on Amazon. I know I've looked recently, but you can't get it on the internet. Just type it into Google. Okay, so excuse me. You're gonna need a palette pad. This is what you palette your papers on. You don't want to use paper like a newspaper or like your printer paper. You don't want to use paper like that because it'll absorb the paint. This stuff, if you look across it, it's got a gloss to it, a shine to it, like what they print magazines with. This is actually the wrappers that go like around your paint can. So like this wrapper that goes around this, that's what this stuff is. I get it from my paint supply store, and they cut them up like this, and they give them to me, but you can buy them from maybe your local paint store does this, I don't know. Mine does. It's Arnie's in Joliet, They don't deliver, so you can't contact them and have that shipped to you. But if you're in the Illinois area, you can always go there. As you can see, I kind of held up my can. So this is striping and lettering enamel by House of Colors. There's also there's many different companies out there. I have another company that I use called Finesse, and then of course there's One Shot. I really like the House of Colors. I switched over to this stuff years ago and I really like it. So let's start with this pounce part. Like I said, we kind of lined up our center of our thing. So like I said, if you're new at this, like I really suggest using glass to practice on. So this powder, it's just chalking powder. It's the same kind of powder that they use in like construction for chalk lines. So let's see how that turned out. So there you go. You got all your dots there. So now we can go around this with our pencil and follow these lines. And like I said, it's easy to get lost here. So that's part of the reason why you go over it in the pencil. And it's always a good thing to have your picture next to you. So there you go. So that would be one color. You know, I don't know which one we'll do, red or white, but you know, it might be red. And then this next one will be our other color. Okay, so there's our pinstripe, all drawn out in pencil, and it leaves some chunks behind, so we can wipe those off, wipe off any of the powder. So you can still see it, but we have wiped off, you know, any of the chunks and any of that powder that was on there. So I'm going to take our piece of paper here and a magic marker, and I'm just going to trace out the one so that we know which one to follow. Like I said, you know, I would trace one of them out so that you can follow your colors. Okay, so we know that that one right there is going to go one color. I think we'll do red. But now that we'll have that next to us and we know which lines we need to follow. So I'm going to pick the Mac Virus 444-2. and we're going to start paletting our brush. So you want to, this is called loading the brush or paletting, and you just want to keep rolling it around in your finger and in your fingers, and make sure that you got a good amount of paint on these brushes. Now, one thing with using these brushes compared to like one of these brushes, now if you have a nice steady hand, you can get just as thin of a line out of these as I'm going to get out of this one, but these hold a lot more paint. You can run all the way down the side of a vehicle, a limo, a very large vehicle. You can go from the front to the back with one swipe, if you're loaded up with paint properly. Now, these little brushes like this, they don't hold as much paint. So you're gonna have to palette and load your brush with paint more often with these than you would with your actual sword brush. So one thing when you're doing these, so if you're doing a car, you can't flip your car around like you can with these panels. So I would suggest, if you're new at this, like tape your panel down and get used to doing it without moving it. I'm going to move it. Remember to keep your brushes loaded and full of paint. Now, one thing I like about this House of Color stuff is it dries pretty fast. One shot and finesse, the other stuff that I use, it doesn't dry nearly as fast, and you have to be careful when you're working around the panel that you're not setting your finger into your wet paint. One thing I like about this House Colors is when you go to clean out your brushes, you just use regular lacquer thinner. Where if you're using like finesse or one shot, you have to clean it out with mineral spirits. Not a fan of mineral spirits. I don't like having it around in my shop, but I do due to my pinstriping stuff. Let me get the brush cleaned out, and we'll switch colors and go over to another color. Yeah, so we'll be right back. Now, when you go to switch colors, make sure your brush is, good and cleaned out from your lacquer thinner or reducer or whatever you use to clean it. Make sure you get some extra paletting in there, because if you have the cleaner, lacquer thinner, reducer, whatever, still loaded in the brush, you're going to thin out your paint too much, and you're going to find out with your first swipe that you made a mistake. So make sure that you get all that out when you're cleaning your brush. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, we used House of Colors Pinstripe. with the Mac Virus brushes. And I did use the Bobo brush to do the outlining on it. Again, I am not perfect at doing this, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned a little something off of it. Maybe I gave you some ideas to get your own stuff started. At the end of that, I just used some rattle can and I dipped my paintbrush handle in it and just kind of shook it over it to give it that splatter look. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining us for our anniversary. Happy anniversary to us. Thank you to everybody who does subscribe to us and watch our stuff. Good luck with winning some of this. Remember, you got to be subscribed, you got to like the video, and you got to comment HalfDozenCustoms. Good luck. We'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I'm out.